And I took about a month off work at that stage. I can't remember if it was paid or unpaid, but I remember, there was one night there that my EndNote was breaking down. Like, it just wouldn't do what I told it to do, and it started to pack a hoo-ha at me. And it would have been probably, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, but I just had stuff I needed to get done. And so I vividly remember sitting there on my on the kitchen bench at home, like just so fed up. And I'm like, I'm going to have to go into work. I'm going to have to go into the office and work on this. And I remember trudging on down to my office at close to midnight, it would have been, because I was in the room and I needed to like get these words onto paper. And so I remember going into the office, like everything's dark, like every half an hour, the lights are turning off, and you're like, you're having to go back over, wave in front of the sensor so that the office light turns back on. Like, and I just remember something just wasn't working, and I got so fed up. I just remember breaking down, like in my office on my own at like 2 a.m. in the morning or whatever it was that I was trying to finish this thing. And like that for me kind of summarizes, the PhD experience. Like a lot of it is great. And like, I enjoyed what I was doing, but there are some parts where, like you spoke about earlier, you're just doing the thing and it's a grind and it's hard, and you've got like, what you want to say, but you have to get the words out onto the paper and you have to put the referencing right, and you have to make sure that the thing's working, and then your computer doesn't work and you've got to try and solve that problem. You've got to figure out how the heck you actually are meant to format a Word doc to have automatically updating table of contents and headings that look right, and all of this stuff that you kind of, it's not the stuff you necessarily love, but it's the stuff that's essential to doing a really good job of a thesis. And so like, I just always have these flashbacks to that whenever someone talks about a PhD. It's just that time that like I would have been, I don't know, 10 pages worth of writing, if that, from the end of finishing this thing. And I just want to pack it in. I was like, I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. And it's like having that internal conversation of like, yes, you feel this way, but you're so close. And like, you're not going to throw that, 3.5 years of work, whatever it's been, away and just, abandon your PhD at the last minute. But by the same token, you're just like so fed up with it and so sick of reading about bloody strength training research again, and then the other part of that is that's been compounded because you're finishing stuff and then you're sending it to your supervisors and they can make changes. And then so you have to look at it again and again and again. And like, thankfully I had supervisors who were extremely efficient at getting back to me, like I would send them something and, Mike was amazing for this. Like you'd literally send him something and within probably 24 hours, he would have something back to you that had like good comments that were helpful and actually made like, he was so effective and so efficient with that. Like I can't fault that experience at all. And, as I said, I wasn't in the office with him, so I couldn't go ask him about the thesis. He would send me back these track changes with some comments in an email. And like, yes, those things are sometimes hard because no one likes your work to be criticized, but know that they're trying to do it to make it a better product, right? And so you're having this constant back and forth when you think you're done and then you got to change it and then you think you're done. It's like
it's
thesis
final.
And then final version 1, final version 2. And so like, I just remember, the good thing was because we had done it by publication as well, it was a bit more robust because it had been through a peer review process before you actually went in front of your examiners. And that was the last part of the process, is after you've actually finished your thesis, you send it off. And then, after you've tried to forget about it for 2 months, you have to then go and defend it, when they come back to you with the comments. So that was another interesting experience. And one of the reviewers that came back for that was actually like one of the editors on the major journal in our, the major textbook in our field. So I remember seeing their name come up as one of the reviewers. I was like, oh no, like if I've done a bad job, I'm going to be told about it. So, but she was lovely. She was lovely.
Because let's face it, most academics love telling you why you're
intimidating,
wrong.
Though.
Like it's like a
yeah. I was very thankful for that experience, that it wasn't like they tried to put me through the ringer just for the sake of putting me through the ringer. It was more of a actually trying to understand what you've done and why, and kind of like after doing something for 3 years, you're so aware of the problem. Like, you know what your issues are. You know that your sample size sucks. You know that this sucks, and you're aware of every hole in it anyway. So anything they point out, you're like, oh yeah, like I remember and this is why we had to do it that way. And yep, it's not perfect, but what else were we to do living in Palmerston North with no one volunteering for my studies? Like, like you kind of knew yeah, they were good, and you also kind of knew the topic, and you knew all your own flaws. It's like someone coming up to you and talking about all your problems. You're like, yeah, I know most of these things. Like, thanks for pointing them out again. How can we make it better? And if they come to me with how to make
come
those
to me
flaws
with
better,
a
you're probably gonna
solution.
listen,
I'm
right?
definitely going to listen.